2, 1. Hello, YouTube. Otaku here. Welcome back. We're going to be getting back into it with The Moon is Down by John Steinbeck. We are currently on page 72, or we shall see what it is soon. If you have been onto this, 74. I apologize. If you haven't been onto this channel before, go ahead and check out the channel description to find out what this series is about. If you have been onto this channel before, let's go ahead and get started on the eucalyptus inhalation ritual. Make sure to have some water on standby as well. These sessions do get intense. With that out of the way, let's begin. Downstairs is clean. It's the last day of the week for the weekend. Go hang out with some friends on Saturday. I'm looking forward to that. But that out of the way, get the pleasantries out the way, get the smoke sesh going, all nice and proper. If you already finished smoking, just bear with it for a little while longer. Then we get right into the story. Alright. Yeah, because the last time Lieutenant Tonder came and talked to Molly, and they just got through killing her husband the following after killing the 6 soldiers, and the husband was just like, "You're not gonna tell me what to do." Well, the mayor was real kind to Alex when he died, and he sent his wife over to go check on Molly as all that was going on. And now I guess we're in the following to that, and they're keeping Molly as a signature character. Pretty cool. Alright. Yeah, 75. His words. Oh, wait. I'm not too sure where we left off, because where I had left off, it was. You know what? I'm just going to start off at page 74, like it would say. He entered the room and took off his helmet as he spoke pleadingly. "I don't mean any harm. Please, let me come in," Molly said. "What do you want?" ? She shut the door behind him and he said, "Miss, I only want to talk, that's all. I just want to hear you talk. That's all I want." "Are you forcing yourself on me?" Molly asked. "No, miss. Just let me stay a little while, and then I'll go." "What do you want?" Tonder tried to explain. Can you understand this? Can you believe this? Question mark. Just for a little while. Can we forget this war? Just for a little while. Just for a little while. Can we just talk like people? Together? Molly looked at him for a long time, but then a smile came to her lips. You don't know who I am, do you? Tonder said, I've seen you in the town. I know you're lovely. I know I want to talk to you. And Molly still smiled. She said softly, You don't know who I am. She sat in her chair and Tonder stood like a child, looking very clumsily. Molly continued, speaking quietly. Why, you're lonely. It's as simple as that, isn't it? Tonder licked his lips and he spoke eagerly. That's it, he said. You understand? I knew you would. I knew you had to. His words come tumbling out. I'm lonely at the point of illness. I'm lonely to the quiet and to the hatred. And he said pleadingly, Can't we talk just for a bit? Question mark. Molly picked up her knitting. She looked quickly at the front door. You can't stay no more than 15 minutes. Sit down a little, Lieutenant. I am going to smack the Bolski super quick. I know where we're at. We're at the bottom of page 74. She looked at the door again. The house creaked. Tonder became tense and said, Someone here? No. The snow's heavy on the roof. I haven't many more to push it down. Tonder said gently. Who did it? Was it something we did? And Molly nodded, looking far off. Yeah. Shh. He sat down. I'm sorry. After a moment he said, I wish I could do something for you. I'll have the snow pushed off the roof. No, said Molly. No. Why not? Said Tonder. Because the people would think I had joined with you. They would expel me. I don't want to be expelled. Tonder said, Yeah, I see how that would be. You all hate us, but I'll take care of you if you let me. Now Molly knew she was in control, and her eyes narrowed a little cruelly, and she said, Why do you ask? You are the conqueror. Your men don't have to ask. They take what they want. That's not what I want, Tonder said. That's not the way I want it. And Molly laughed, still a little cruelly. You want me to like you, don't you, Lieutenant? He said simply, Yes. And he raised his hand and said, You are so beautiful, so warm. Your hair is bright. Oh, I've seen no kindness in a woman's face for so long. Do you see any of mine? She asked. He looked closely at her. I want to. She dropped her eyes at last. You making love to me, aren't you, Lieutenant? And he said clumsily, I want you to like me. Surely I want you to like me. Surely I want to see that in your eyes. I have seen you in the streets. I have watched you pass by. I've given orders that you mustn't be molested. Have you been molested? And Molly said quietly, Thank you. No, I have not been molested. So Molly got that man wrapped around her finger, that soldier. Page 76 of John Steinbeck's The Moon is Down. His words rushed on. Why, I've been writing a poem for you. Would you like to hear my poem? And she said sardonically, Is it a long poem? You have to go very soon. He said, no, it's a little tiny poem. A little bit of a poem. He reached inside his tunic, pulled out a folded paper, handed it to her. She leaned close to the lamp, put her glasses, read quietly. Your eyes in their deep heavens. Possess me, will not depart. A sea of blue thoughts rushing, pouring over my heart. I mean, I'm sure that's going to work on somebody. Let's see if it worked on her. She folded the paper and put it in her lap. Did you write this, Lieutenant? Yes. She said a little tauntingly. To me? And Tanner answered uneasily. Yes. She looked at him steadily, smiling. You didn't write it, Lieutenant, did you? He smiled back like a child caught in a lie. No. Molly asked him, do you know who did? Tanner said, yes. Harine wrote it. It's Mendani Bulunini Aguan. I'm sure I butchered that, but I wanted to make it sound right. I've always loved it. He laughed embarrassingly, and Molly laughed with him, and suddenly they were laughing together. He stopped laughing just as suddenly, and a bleakness came into his eyes. I haven't laughed like that since forever, he said. They told us the people would like us, would admire us. They did not. They only hated us. And then he changed the subject as though he's worked against time. You are so beautiful. You are so beautiful, as that laughter. Molly said, you begin to make love to me, Lieutenant. You must go in a moment. And Tanner said, maybe I want to make love to you. A man needs love. A man dies without love. His inside shrivel, and his chest feels like a dried chip. Lonely. Molly got up from her chair. She looked nervously at the door. And she walked to the stove. Coming back, her face grew hard and her eyes grew punishing. She said, do you want to go to bed with me, Lieutenant? I didn't say that. Why do you talk that way? Molly said cruelly, maybe I'm trying to disgust you. I was married once. My husband is dead. You see, I'm not a virgin. Her voice was bitter. Tanner said, I only wanted you to like me. And Molly said, I know. You're a civilized man. You know that love making is more full and whole and delightful, that there is liking too. Tanner said, don't talk that way. Please, don't talk that way. Molly glanced quickly at the door and she said, we are a conquered people, Lieutenant. You have taken the food away and I'm hungry. I like you better if you feed me. Tanner said, what are you saying? Do I disgust you, Lieutenant? Maybe I'm trying to. My price is 2 sausages. Tanner said, you can't talk this way. What about your own girls, Lieutenant? After the last war, a man can choose amongst your girls for an egg or a slice of bread. Do you want me for nothing, Lieutenant? Is the price too high? He said, you fooled me for a moment. But you hate me too, don't you? Thought maybe you wouldn't. No, I don't hate you, she said. I'm hungry and I hate you. I like this chick, Molly. Tanner said, I'll give you anything you need, but she interrupted him. You want to call it something else? You don't want a whore. Is that what you mean? Tanner said, I don't know what you mean. Make it sound full of hatred. Molly laughed. She said, it's not nice to be hungry. 2 sausages, 2 fine, fat sausages could be the most precious thing in the world. Don't say those things. He said, please don't. Why not? They're true. They aren't true. They can't be true. She looked at him for a moment, and then she sat down. Her eyes fell into her lap, and she says, no, it's not true. I don't hate you. I'm lonely too. And the snow is heavy on the roof. Tanner got up to move near her. He took one of her hands in both of his and he said softly, "Please don't hate me. I'm only the lieutenant. I didn't ask to come here. I didn't ask to be your enemy. I'm only a man. I'm not a conquering man." Molly's fingers encircled his hand for a moment. She said softly, "I know. Yes, I know." And Tanner said, "We have some little right to life in all this death." He's not forcing himself on her because she's still entertaining his conversation, but he might as well be forcing himself on her by the way he's just not leaving. Like, golly. She's trying to push out, clearly, but if he doesn't want to go, I mean, he's trying to stake his claim. I'm just not too sure how right he is to do something like that. "We have so little right to life in all this death," Tanner said. She put her hand on his cheek and for a moment she said, "Yes, I'll take care of you," said Tanner. "We have some right to live in all this killing." His hand rested on her shoulder. Suddenly she grew rigid, and her eyes were wide and staring as though she saw a vision. His hand released her and he asked, "What's the matter? What is it?" And her eyes straight ahead and repeated, "What is it?" Molly spoke in a haunted voice. "I dressed him like a little boy for his first day of school, and he was afraid, and I buttoned his shirt and tried to comfort him, and he was beyond comfort, and he was afraid." Tanner said, "What are you saying?" "What are you saying?" And Molly seemed to see what she described. "I don't know why they let him come home. He was confused. He didn't know what was happening. He didn't even kiss me when he went away. He was afraid and very brave, like a little boy on his first day to school." Tanner stood up. "That was your husband?" Molly said, "Yes, my husband. I went to the mayor, but he was helpless, and then he marched away. Not very well, not steadily, and you took him out and you shot him. It was more strange than terrible then. I didn't quite believe it then." Tanner said, "Your husband?" "Yes. And now in this quiet home, I believe it. Now with the heavy snow on the roof, I believe it. And the loneliness before the daybreak, and the half-warmed bed, I knew it then." Tanner stood in front of her. His face was full of misery. "Good night," he said. "God keep you. May I come back?" And Molly looked at the wall and at the memory. "I don't know," she said. "I'll come back. I don't know." He looked at her, then he quietly went out of the door, and Molly still stared at the wall. "God keep me." She stared for a moment, staring at the wall. The door opened silently and Annie came in. Molly did not even see her. Annie said disapprovingly, "The door was open." Molly looked slowly towards her, her eyes still wide. "Oh, yeah. Yes, Annie. The door was open, and there was a man who came out. I saw him. He looked like a soldier," she said disgustingly. And Molly said, "Yes, Annie. Was it a soldier then?" "Yes, it was a soldier," said Molly. And Annie asked suspiciously, "What was he doing here?" "He came in to make love to me." Annie said, "Miss, what are you doing? You haven't joined them, have you? You aren't with them like the Corral." "No, I'm not with them, man." Annie said, "If the mayor's here and they come back, it'll be your fault if anything happens. It'll be your fault! Exclamation point. He won't come back. I won't let him come back." But the suspicion stayed with Annie. She said, Shall I tell them to come in now? Do you say it's safe? Annie's pissed. I mean, I kind of don't blame her. Don't get me wrong. She has more than right to be suspicious, but she had a husband, and I don't think she'd give it up to anybody so easily like that. Especially with the soldiers that killed her husband. I mean, you'd be surprised with people, but all I'm saying is, so far she's not displaying that kind of mindset. I do have to return this library book back soon, sadly. Yes, it's safe. Where are they? Said Molly. They're out behind the fence. Tell them to come in. And while Annie went out, Molly got up and smothered her hair and shook her head, trying to be alive again. There was a little sound in the passage. Two tall, blond young men entered. They wore stocking caps. Been a while since I've seen the word stocking. They wore stocking caps perched on their heads. They were wind-burned and strong, and they looked almost like twins. While Anders and Tom Anders, Will Anders and Tom Anders, these two must be brothers, the fishermen. I'm not too sure what kind of voices I want to give them. I'm going to give one a low-pitch one and one a high-pitch one. Good evening, Molly. You've heard? Annie told me it'd be a bad night to go, Tom said. So who's speaking right now? They have not clarified anyone yet, besides Tom. I'm going to give Tom the high one. It's better than a clear night. The plane seen you on a clear night? What's the mayor want, Molly? I don't know. I've heard about your brother. I'm sorry. The two were silent, and they looked embarrassed. Tom said, You know how it is. Better than most. Yes, I know. Annie came to the door again. She said in a harsh whisper, They're here. And Mayor Ordine and Dr. Winters came in. They took off their coats and caps and laid thin on the couch. Ordine went over to Molly and kissed her on the forehead. He'd be like, Good evening. His voice. Good evening, dear. He turned to Andy. Stay in the passage, Andy. Give him one knock for the patrol, one when it's gone. Two for danger. You can leave the outer door open at a crack, so you can hear if anyone comes. Annie said, Yes, sir, and went into the passage and shut the door behind her. Dr. Winters was at the stove, warming her hands. We got a word you boys were going tonight, said Dr. Winter. We got to get going, Tom said. Ordine nodded. Yeah, I know. I heard you was getting to take Mr. Carell with you. Tom laughed bitterly. We thought it would be only right. We're taking his boat. Can't leave him around. It isn't good to see him in the streets. Ordine said sadly, I wish I'd gone away. It's just a danger to you, taking him. Apologies. It isn't good to see him in the streets. Oh, this is Will talking, so it isn't good seeing him in the streets. Will echoed his brother. It isn't good for the people to see him here. Winters added. Can you take him? Isn't it cautious at all? Oh, yes. He's cautious. In a way, at 12 o'clock, though, he walks to his house usually. We'll be behind the wall. I think we can get him through his lower garden to the water. His boat's tied up there. We were on her today, getting her ready. Ordine repeated. I wish I didn't have to. I wish I didn't have to. It's just an added danger. If he makes a noise, the patrol might come. Tom said, he won't make a noise, and it's better if he... Next page. Page 82. Better if he disappeared at sea. Some of the townspeople might get him, and then there'll be too much killing. No, it's better if he goes to sea. Molly took up her knitting again, and she said, will you throw him overboard? Will blushed. He'll go to sea, ma'am. He turned to the mayor. He wanted to see us, sir. Why, yes. I wanted to talk to you. Dr. Winters and I try to think. There's so much talk about justice, injustice, conquest, conquerors. Our people are invaded, and I don't think they're conquered yet. There was a sharp knock at the door, and the room was silent. Molly's needles stopped, and the mayor's outstretched hands remained in the air. Tom, scratching his ear, left his hand there and stopped scratching. Everyone in the room was motionless. Every eye was turned towards the door. Then, first faintly and then growing louder, there came the tramp of the patrol, the squawk of their boots in the snow, and the sound of their talking as they went by. They passed the door, and their footsteps disappeared in the distance. There was a second tap on the door, and in the room, the people relaxed. Ordine said, you must be cold out there, Randy. He took up his coat from the couch and opened the inner door and handed his coat through. Put this around your shoulders, Andy, he said, and closed the door. I don't know what I would do without her. She gets everywhere. She sees and hears everything. Tom said, we should be going pretty soon, sir. And Winter said, I wish you'd forget about Mr. Carell. We can't. It isn't good to see him in the streets, Will said inquiringly at Mayor Ordine. Ordine began slowly. I want to speak simply. This is a little town. Justice and injustice are in terms of little things. Your brother's shot and Alex Mordine's shot. Revenge against a traitor. People are angry and they have no way to fight back. It's all in little terms. It's people against people, not idea against ideas. Winter said, it's funny for a doctor to think of destruction, but I think all invaded people wanted to resist. We are disarmed. Our spirits and bodies aren't enough. The spirits of a disarmed man sinks. Will Anders asked, what's all this for, sir? What will you want of us? We want to fight them if we can. We want to fight them if we can, Ordine said. They're using hunger on the people now. Hunger brings weakness. You boys are sailing for England. Maybe nobody will listen to you. Tell them for us, from a small town, to give us weapons. Tom asked, you want guns? ? asked them for. Again, there was a quick knock at the door, and the people froze where they were. From outside, there came the sounds of a patrol, but a double-step running. Will moved quickly towards the door. The running stepped came abreast of the home. There was muffled orders, and the patrol ran by, and there was a second tap at the door. Molly said, "They must be after someone. I wonder who it is this time." "We should get going," Tom said uneasily. "You want guns, sir? Shall we ask for the guns?" ? "No. Tell them how it is. We are watched. Any moves and they may call for reprisal. We could have had simple, secret weapons. Weapons of stealth, explosives, dynamite to blow up rails. Grenades, if possible, even poisons." He spoke angrily. "This is not an honorable war. This is a war of treachery and murder. Let us use the method that has been used on us!" Exclamation points. "Let the British bombers drop their big bombs on the works. Let them also drop us little bombs to use, to hide, to slip. Under the rails, under the tanks. Then we will be armed, secretly armed. Then the invaders will never know which of us is armed. Let the bombers bring us simple weapons. We will know how to use them." Winters broke in. "They'll never know where it will strike. The soldiers, the patrol. They'll never know which of us is armed." Tom wiped his forehead. "We get through, we'll tell them, sir. But, well, I've heard it said that in England there are still men of power who do not dare to put weapons in the hands of common people." Ordine stared at him. "Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Well, I can only see if such people are still governing in America. The world is lost. Anyways, tell them what we say. If they will listen, we must have help. But if we get it," his face grows very hard, "if we get it, we will help ourselves." Winter said, If they will ever give us dynamite to hide, to bury in the ground, to be ready against need, then the invaders can never rest again. Never. We will blow up his supplies." I'm always trying to make Dr. Winter sound like he's on the verge of hypothermia. And his name is Dr. Winter. It's why not? 33 minutes in, we're not looking bad at all. Page 84. I like the diversity of the amount of pages needed to finish this. At most, maybe 2 more videos, at least. Hopefully, 1 more video after this one, and we'll be done with this. Yeah, let's keep it going. The room grew excited. Molly said fiercely, "Yes, we could fight his rest then. We could fight his sleep. We could fight his nerves and his certainties." Oh, shoot. There was just one small little paragraph right before that I missed. One moment. Winter said, So I must have stopped halfway. Winter said, "If they ever give us dynamite to hide, to bury in the ground, to be ready against need, then the invaders can never rest again. Never. We'll blow up their supplies." The room grew excited. Here we go. Molly said fiercely, "Yes, we could fight his rest then. We could fight his sleep. We could fight his nerves and his certainties." Will asked quietly, "Is that all, sir?" "Yes." Ordine nodded. "That is the core of it. But if they won't listen, you can only try. As you are trying to the sea tonight. Is that all, sir? The door opened and Annie came quietly in. Ordine went on. That's all. We have to go now. Let me and Annie out and see the way's clear. He looked up and saw that Annie had come in. Annie said, There's soldiers coming up the path. He looks like the soldier that was here before. There's a soldier that was here with Molly before. The others looked at Molly and Annie said, I locked the door. What did he say? Molly asked. Why is he coming back? There was a gentle knocking on the outside door. Ordine went to Molly. What is this, Molly? Are you in trouble? No. No. She said, no. Go out the back way. You get out through the back. Hurry. Hurry out. The knocking continued on the front door. A man's voice came softly. Molly opened the door to the kitchen. She said, Hurry. Hurry. The mayor stood in front of her. Are you in trouble, Molly? You haven't done anything. Annie said coldly, It looks like the same soldier. There was a soldier here before. Yes, the mayor said to the Molly. Yes, there was a soldier here before. The mayor asked, What does he want? He wants to make love to me. But he didn't? No, he didn't. Go on, and I'll take care of it. My bad, just a little paranoid. Ordine said, Molly, if you're in trouble, let us help you. The trouble I'm in, no one can help me with. She said, Go on. She pushed them out the back door. Annie remained behind. She looked at Molly. Miss, what does this soldier want? I don't know what he wants yet, Molly said. Are you going to tell him anything? No. Wonderingly, Molly repeated, No. And then she sharply said, No, Annie, I'm not. Annie scolded at her. Miss, you better not tell him. Anything! Exclamation point. She went out and closed the door behind her. The tapping continued on the front door and a man's voice could be heard through the door. Molly went to the center lamp and her burden was heavy on her. She looked down at the lamp. She looked at the table, and she saw the big scissors lying beside her. Apologies. She looked at the table and saw the big scissors lying beside her knitting. She picked them up wonderingly by the blades. The blades slipped through the fingers until she held the long shears and she was holding them like a knife, and her eyes were horrified. She looked down into the lamp and the light flooded up into her face. Slowly she raised the shears and placed them inside her dress. The tapping continued on the door. She heard the voice calling to her. She leaned over the lamp for a moment, then suddenly she blew out the light. The room was dark except for a spot of red that came from the cold stove. She opened the door. Her voice was strained and sweet. She called, I'm coming, Lieutenant. I'm coming. Wait, I think she's like cutting her dress because I think she's about to fuck him. She raised the shears and placed them inside her dress. The tapping continued to the door. She heard the voice calling to her. She leaned over the lamp for a moment, then suddenly blew out the light. The room was dark except for a spot of red that came from the coal stove. She opened the door. Her voice was strained and sweet. She called, I'm coming, Lieutenant, I'm coming. In the dark, clear night as white, half-withered moon brought little light. The wind was dry and singing over the snow, a quiet wind that blew steadily, evenly, from the cold point of the pole. Over the land the snow lay very deep and dry as the sand. The houses snuggled down in the hollows of banked snow, and their windows were dark and shuttered against the cold, and only a little smoke came from the banked fires. Oh yeah, chapter 7, page 87. Making good time. You know what? Making it to the next chapter, let's go ahead and we're at. Do I blame her? No. Do I judge her? Yeah. I'm not sure if they correlate. Honestly, somebody's just being so advanceful towards you. You'd have to have a very great deal of purpose and a lot of self-control to be able to sit there and be to hold them off for so long. And I'm sure back then, she lost her man. She was sitting every day lonely, da-da-da. And this dude comes along and he's like, you are so beautiful. I want you so bad, please. And she probably wants to do some espionage stuff. So from the way it was set up, everything without actually saying it, displaying it in text, has brought on the conditions of, she cut off the lights, she's cutting her dress apart, and she just opened the door and agreed she's gonna go welcome the lieutenant into her home. So any other thing is just too explicit, and we're moving on with that. But it's good to see that there's a lot of plans in motion. A lot of hope is being granted. A lot of theories are being sparked, like potential risk and potential aid. The dynamite was very enticing for the people that, hey, if they can just get us a little bit of bombs down here and the bombs up there, and we keep that going, I think we can correlate something. I like what they're thinking. It's just, there's a lot of eggs in this basket, and if this basket drops, you know what I mean? Alright, well. Everything's basically been leading up to this point. Let us see it through. The wind was dry and singing over the snow. A quiet wind that blew steadily, evenly from the cold point of the pole. Over the land the snow lay very deep and dry as the sand. The houses snuggled down onto the hollows of banked snow, and their windows were dark and shuttered against the cold, and only a little smoke rose from the banked fires. In the town the footpaths were frozen, hard and packed hard, and the streets were silent, too, except when the miserable cold patrols came by. The houses were dark against the night, and a little lingering warmth remained in the houses against the morning. Near the mine entrance, the guards watched the sky and trained their instruments on the sky, turned their listening instruments against the sky, for it was a clear night of bombing. On nights like this, the feathered steel splintered came whistling down and roared to splinter. The land would be visible from the sky tonight, even though the moon seemed to throw little light. Down towards one end of the village, among the small houses, a dog complained about the cold and loneliness. He raised his nose to his God, and gave a long and fulsome account of the state of the world as it applied to him. He was a practiced singer with a full bell throat and a great versatility of range and control. The 6 men of the patrol, slogging dejectedly up and down the street, heard the singing of the dog, and one of the muffled soldiers said, "Seems to me he's getting worse every night. I suppose we ought to shoot him." And another answered, "Why? Let him howl. That sounds good to me. I used to have a dog back home that howled like that." Aw. So, there is some humanity. And fuck that guy who wanted to shoot the dog. Never could break him. Yellow dog. I didn't mind the howl. They took my dog when they took the others, he said. Factually. He said factually in a dull voice. And the corporal said, class. Okay. The corporal said, couldn't have dogs eating of food that was needed. Oh, I'm not complaining. I know it was necessary. I can't plan the way the leaders do. It seems funny to me, though, that some people here have dogs, and they don't even have much food we have. That's pretty grand. Though, dogs and people, they're fools, said the corporal. That's why they lost so quickly. They can't plan the way we can. I wonder if we'll have dogs again after it's over, said the soldier. I suppose we get them from America in some place and start to breed them again. What kind of dogs do you suppose they have in America? I don't know, said the corporal. Probably dogs as crazy as everything else around there. And he went on. Maybe dogs are no good anyways. They might just be as well as we never bothered with them, except for police dogs. It might be, said the soldier. I've heard the leader doesn't like dogs. I've heard they make him itch and sneeze. You hear all kinds of things, the corporal said. Listen! Exclamation point. The patrol stopped, and from a great distance came the bee hums of planes. There they come, the corporal said. Well, there aren't any lights. It's been 2 weeks, hasn't it? Since they came before? Question mark. 12 days, said the soldier, and the guards at the mine heard the high drone of the planes. They're flying high, sir, the sergeant said, and Captain Loft tilted his head back so that he could see under the rim of his helmet. I judge over 20,000 feet, he said. Maybe they're going on over. Aren't very many, sir. The sergeant listened. Aren't very many, sir. The sergeant listened. I don't think there are as many as 3 of them. Shall I call the battery? Just see their alerts, and then call Colonel Lancer. Yeah, Colonel. No, don't call him. Maybe they aren't coming here. They're nearly over, and they haven't started to dive yet. Sounds to me like they're circling. I don't think there are more than 2, the sergeant said. In their beds, the people heard the planes, and they squirmed deeply in their feather beds and listened. In the place of the mare, the little sound awakened Colonel Lancer, and he turned over on his back and looked at the dark ceiling with wide open eyes, and he held his breath to listen better than his heart beat so that he could not hear as well, so when he was listening he would hear only his breathing. Mayor Ordine heard the planes in his sleep and made a dream for him, and he moved and whispered in his sleep. High in the air, 2 bombers circled, mud-colored planes. They cut their throttles and soared, circling, and from the bellies of each one tiny little object dropped. Hundreds of them, one after another. They plummeted a few feet, and then little parachutes opened and drifted small packages silently and slowly downward towards the earth. Whoop! That was a mouthful. And the planes raised their throttles and gained altitude, and then cut their throttles and circled again. and more of the little objects plummeted down, and then the planes turned and flew back in the directions from where they came. The tiny parachutes flowed like thistledown on the breeze, spread them out, and distributed them as seeds on the ends of the thistledowns as they are distributed. I don't know what thistledowns are, but that's something else I'm probably going to have to look up. They drifted so slowly and landed so gently that sometimes the 10-inch packages of dynamite stood upright in the snow, and the little parachutes folded gently down there. They looked black against the snow. They landed in the wide fields and among the woods of the hills, and they landed in trees and hung down from the branches. Some of them landed in the housetops of the little towns, some in the small front yards, and one landed and stood upright to the snow crown on top of the head of the town statue of St. Albert the Missionary. Ooh, St. Albert the Missionary. I think they spoke about that before in this book. One of the little parachutes came down to the street ahead of the patrols, and the sergeant said, "Careful, it's a time bomb." "It ain't big enough," a soldier said. "Well, don't go near it." The sergeant had his flashlight out, and he turned on an object. A little parachute, no bigger than a handkerchief, colored light blue, and hanging from it a package wrapped in blue paper. Now don't anybody touch it," the sergeant said. "Hurry, you go down to the mine and get the captain. We'll keep an eye on this damn thing." The late dawn came down. The people moving out of their homes on the country saw the spots of blue against the snow. They went to them and picked them up. They unwrapped the paper and reached the printed words. They saw the gifts, and suddenly each finder grew furious and concealed the long tube under their coat and went to some secret place and hid the tube. And word got to children about the gift, and they combed the countryside in a terrible Easter egg hunt. And when some lucky child saw the blue color, he rushed to the prize and opened it. And then he hid the tube and told his parents about it. There were some people who were frightened, who turned the tubes over to the military, but they were not very many. And the soldiers scurried about the town in another Easter egg hunt, but they were not so good as the children were. In the drawing rooms of the palace of the mayor, the dining table remained with the chairs above it as they had placed the day Alex Mordine was shot. The room was not in the grace it had been in a palace for the mayor. The walls, bearing and standing chairs, looked very blank. The table with a few papers scattered about on it made the room look like a business office. Alright, we're at 53 minutes. We got about another good half hour. Not too many pages left, honestly. Definitely going to be done in the next video. The room had not in the grace of which the palace the mayor had. The walls, bearing and standing chairs, looked very blank. The table with a few papers scattered about on it made the room look like a business office. The clock on the mantel struck 9. It was a dark day now, overcast with clouds, for the dawn had brought the heavy snow clouds. Annie came out of the mayor's room. She swooped by the table and glanced at the paper and laid there. Captain Loft came in. He stopped in the doorway, seeing Annie. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, and Annie said sullenly, "Yes, sir." "I said, what are you doing here?" "I thought to clean up, sir." "Leave things alone and get along." And Annie said, "Yes, sir," and waited until he was clear of the door. She scurried out. Captain Lobb turned back towards the doorway, and he said, "All right, bring it in." A soldier came through the door behind him. His rifle hung over his shoulder by a strap, and in his arms he held a number of the blue packages, and from the end of the packages they dangled little string of pieces of blue cloth. Lobb said, "Put them on the table." The soldier gingerly laid the package down. "Now go upstairs and report to Colonel Lance that I'm here with the things." And the soldier wheeled about and left the room. Lobbed went to the table and picked up one of the packages, and his face wore a look of disaster. He held up the little blue cloth parachute, held it above his head, and dropped it. And the cloth opened and the package floated to the floor. He picked up the package again and examined it. Ingenuity at its finest. Page 92 of The Moon is Down. It's getting really good. So the military did send dynamite. Actual dreams come true. W government, whoever listened, it's freaking awesome. Wow. Pack me the next bowl just in case. Okay. Page 92. Let's get a little water check in. Now Colonel Lancer came quickly into the room, followed by Major Hunter. Hunter was carrying a square of yellow paper in his hand. Lancer said, "Good morning, Captain." And he went to the head of the table and sat down. For a moment he looked at the little pile of tubes, and then he picked one up and held it in his hand. "Sit down, Hunter," he said. "Have you examined these?" Question mark. Hunter pulled out a chair and sat down. He looked at the yellow paper in his hand. "Not very carefully," he said. Just making sure, I'm reading ahead this time. I'm not gonna. "There's 3 breaks in the railroad, all within 10 miles. Well, take a look at them. See what you think," Lancer said. Hunter reached for a tube and stripped off the outer covering, and inside was a small package next to the tube. Hunter took out a knife and cut into the tube. Captain Loft looked over his shoulder. Then Hunter smelled the cut and rubbed his fingers together, and he said, "It's silly. It's commercial dynamite." "I don't know what percentage of nitroglycerin until I test it." And he looked at the end. "It has a regular dynamite cap, fuminate of mercury, and a fuse about a minute, I suppose." He tossed the tube back into the table. "It's very cheap and simple." The colonel looked at Loft. "How many do you think were dropped?" "I don't know, sir," said Loft. "We picked up about 50 of them, and about 90 parachutes that came in. For some reason, the people leave the parachutes where they take the tubes. And then there were probably a lot we haven't found yet." Lancer waved his hand. "Doesn't really matter," he said. "They can drop as many as they want. We can't stop it, and we can't use it against them either. They haven't conquered anyone." Loft said fiercely, "We can't beat them off the face of the earth." Hunter was prying the copper cap at the top of one of the sticks, and Lancer said, "Yes, we can do that. Have you looked at this wrapper, Hunter?" "Not yet. I haven't had time." "It's kind of devilish, this thing," said Colonel Lancer. "The wrapper is blue, so that it's easy to see. Unwrap the outer paper in here." He picked up the small package. "Here's a little piece of chocolate. Everybody will be looking for it. I'll bet our own soldiers steal the chocolate. Why, the kids will be looking for them like Easter eggs." A soldier came in and laid an square of yellow paper in front of the colonel and retired. The Lancer glanced at it. I failed that miserably. Apologies. A soldier came in and laid a square of yellow paper in front of the colonel and retired. And Lancer glanced at it and laughed harshly. Here's something for you, Hunter. 2 more breaks in your line. Hunter looked up from the copper cap he was explaining, and he asked, "How general is this? They did drop them everywhere." Lancer was puzzled. Now, that's a funny thing. I talked to the capital. This is the only place they dropped them. I'm running out of water and my voice is getting harsh. Sadly. This is the only place they dropped them. What do you make of that? Hunter asked. Well, it's hard to say. I think this is a test place. I suppose if it works here, they'll use it all over. If it doesn't work here, they won't bother. What are you gonna do? Question mark? Hunter asked. The capital ordered me to stamp this out so ruthlessly that they won't drop it anyplace else. Damn. That's no good. Hunter said plaintively, how are we going to mend the 5 break in the railroad? How are we going to mend the 5 breaks in my railroad? I have tails right now for 5 breaks. You'll have to rip some out of the old sidings, I guess, said Lancer. Hunter said, that'll make hell of a road bed. Well, anyway, it will make a road bed. Major Hunter tossed the 2 he had torn apart onto the pile, and Loft broke in. We must stop these things at once. Loft broke in, apologies. We must stop these things at once. Sir, we must arrest and punish people who pick these things up. Before they use them, we have to get busy so these people won't think we are weak. Lancer was smiling at him, and he said, take it easy, Captain. Let's see what we have first, and then we'll think of remedies. He took a new package from the pilot and unwrapped it. He took the little piece of chocolate, tasted it, and then he said, this is a devilish thing indeed. It's good chocolate, too. I can't even resist it myself. The prize is a goodie bag. Then he picked up the dynamite. What do you think of this, really, Hunter? What I told you. It's very cheap and very effective for small jobs. Dynamite with the cap and a 1-minute fuse. It's good if you know how to use it. It's no good if you don't. Lancer studied the print on the inside of the wrapper. Have you read this? Glanced at it? Well, I have read it. I want you to listen to it carefully. He reads from the paper. To the unconquered people, hide this. Do not expose yourself. You will need this later. It is a present from your friends. To you, from you, to you, and from you to the invaders of your country. Do not try to do large things with it. He began to skip through the bill. Now here, rails in the country, and work at night, and tie up transportation. Now here, instructions, rails. Place stick under rail close to the joint, and tie against a tube. Pack mud or hard beaten snow around it so it is firm. When the fuse is lined up, have a slow count of 60 before it explodes. He looked up at Hunter, and Hunter said simply, "It works." Lancer looked back at the paper, and he skipped through. Bridges, weaken, do not destroy. And here, transmission poles. And here, cultivators, trucks. He laid the blue handbill down. Well, there it is. Lob said angrily, "We must do something. There must be a way to control this. There isn't. What do the headquarters have to say? ? Lancer perched his lips and his fingers placed with one of the tubes. "I could have told you what they said before they said it. I have the orders. Set booby traps and poison chocolate." He paused for a moment and then he said, "Hunter, I'm a good, loyal man. But sometimes when I hear the brilliant ideas of headquarters, I wish I were a civilian, an old, crippled civilian that always thinks they are dealing with stupid people. I don't say that this is a measure of their intelligence. Did I?" Hunter looked amused. "Did you?" Lancer said sharply. "No, I didn't. But what will happen? One man will pick up one of these and get blown to bits by our booby trap. One kid will eat chocolate and die of citronine poisoning. And then," he looked down at his hands, "they will poke them with sticks and lasso them before they touch them, and they will try the chocolate on the cat. God damn it, Major. These are intelligent people. Stupid traps won't catch them twice." Loft cleared his throat. "Sir, this is defeationist talk," he said. "We must do something. Why do you suppose it has only dropped here, sir?" And Lancer said, "For one of two reasons. Either this town was picked at random, or else there's communications between this town and the outside. We know that some of the young men have gotten away." Log repeated dully, "We must do something, sir." Now Lancer turned to him. "Loft, I think I'll recommend it. You for the general staff. You want to get to work before you even know what the problem is. This is a new kind of conquest. Always before, it was possible to disarm people and keep them in ignorance. Now they will listen to their radios and we can't stop them anymore. We can't even find their radios." A soldier looked through the doorways. "Mr. Carell wants to see you, sir." Lancer replied, "Tell him to wait." That's where I really want to stop, on page 96. That was amazing. That was insanity. The Moon is Down is truly a perspective of something unlike anything I've ever read before. And I just cannot believe how much is going on in the midst of this conflict. Page 96, and I started from 74. Yeah, okay. Alright, well, that out of the way, I'm going to give you one proper smoke it super click. I'm going to take off. Thank you again so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed the noise. I hope you enjoyed my commentary. Hope you enjoyed the lights, camera action. And let's do this. I had to shave this beard. It'll get a little rough. Anyways, peace.